Alright, this is proof of life of a customer build with an Incognito installed in their Atari 800, and it's a 2-hour install. I had forgotten what a pain in the butt this little disk swap button is, but wow. So I think I'll give people a discount that if they don't want it installed, maybe I'll take 10% off, because that is a pain in the butt. But we'll see how it works in a few minutes. So it's got an Incognito installed. What I've done here is I've also installed for the customer, per their request, a Sophia. So we have DVI out, and you can see the Incognito here. I've used one of my CF cards off my XEL to boot with, and just to demonstrate, but everything's taken out. It's just the Incognito in there. Okay, and so what I've also done is I have put the DVI screen over here and then a composite screen over here so that you can see the action going on. I've left a cartridge in there, and I'll also demonstrate that it'll boot XE cartridges as well. And let's lock this down a little bit. Okay, and then the DVI just ports out the back right here. It's nice and neat, and then into this shrink tube connector, just a standard DVI port. I have removed the RF cable because well, it's just not going to fit anymore. You could put it back in, but you'd have to reroute it differently, and besides, I think if you've got DVI coming out the back, you don't need an RF cable coming out the back. But it's there. Legacy video is still there. Legacy video is connected. So I'm going to boot this up. As you can see, the splash screen from Incognito BIOS goes to Pac-Man because I have set it up to do cartridges, and we'll show how to do that in a second. Okay, and then we're just going to start this. Cable came loose out of the socket there. Uh-oh. Okay. Ah! Oh! I died. Alright, let's try this again. Up, left, right. Get him, get him, get him, get him. Yes, I know you're not supposed to chase him after him. There is a pattern, and you should use the pattern. But I've never known the pattern. So why should I start now? Whoa! Yes! Let's see if I can get some points. Yikes! Alright, cleared a pattern. So, what I'm going to do now is, here's an interesting thing. So, the Incognito will let you run anything known to Ataryville in terms of the 8-bit. You want to run 400, 800 OS stuff? Great. You want to run a write cartridge? Great. Want to run some XLXE stuff? Great. And that is all controlled right here. So I tell it Colleen, and I tell it that how much RAM do I want, what kind of OS, do I want an internal basic? Hey, internal basic on 800 that doesn't have it? Great. Do I want to emulate an Axlom RAM disk? Do I want to emulate, or do I want to run Spardos? All sorts of good stuff. Let's do this, and let's go B for save and boot. We get the splash screen. Okay. So now we're going to do some stuff because I forgot to set the time and the date. Let's see, it is 23:49 and 30 seconds, and that is now. Okay, and date, and it is 06/28/20. Okay. Oh, yeah. Always forget it is 28/06/20. And you can set up, like when we boot my compact flash disk, it's set up to boot from drive 5 and to set the date in the US format. I know the US date isn't the best format. Just, you know, at this point in my life, I have to think twice before doing it, and I've only got so many thinks left. So let's boot again. I want to change this back to XLXE. 1 meg Rambo, stock XELX. I want to... Oh, one thing I always like to show off is FJC has got, John Halliday has got really a great graphical OS going here. And I think if we all got together and convinced him to keep work on it, it would really be a nice thing. And so, just going to boot into it for a second. As you can see, it's really nice, and it is well set up. It's just, there's not a lot going for it right now. So, you can see that this will use a joystick to move it, but you got to change things around a little bit. If you buy an adapter, you can buy an adapter which will give you the ability to run any kind of PS2 mouse, and we sell those. Other people sell them too, or you can make them yourself, but you can use a PS2 mouse and emulate this. So again, I'm going to boot again to get into the firmware. You may have noticed I hold down the Atari key, which is the inverse key on XLXEs, but the logo key, and then press reset, and that gets me into the firmware. I'm going to reset SparDOS S on. That automatically turns the graphical OS off. And since we've got XLXE, controllers 3 and 4 are disabled. You notice the time and date are set now. I've enabled the hard drive to boot. You can just disable that by going like this. There's a whole manual that FJC, Flash Jazz Cat, also known as Jonathan Halliday, has written, and I really encourage you to download and read it because it makes a big, big difference. High-speed I/O is set up, and as you can see, the BIOS menu with the Atari logo gets you in. And I'm going to disable this just because it's a pain. Any of these keys inside the brackets can be used at any BIOS setting. Right now I'm going to save and then go into the loader. The reason I'm going to do that is I'm going to show you what that key is for. So say for example you have an ATR game that uses 2 disks. How do you tell the computer that you've changed the virtual disks, right? Well, this allows you to do that with the little switch. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this. There you go. And just, there we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to load this. Shoot. Should have taken that out. Again, see, this is just booting off the compact flash that I installed. It doesn't come with the machine, you have to make your own. That shows you all that is working. I have SparDOS Commander set up to automatically copy to the RAM disk. SparDOS Commander is a great way to navigate your hard drive. And with the Sophia, it looks really nice. This doesn't have a VBXE, but it does load a Graphics 8 system loader or monitor loader or 80 column loader, whatever you want to call it. And in Sharp, like the Sophia or something like that, it looks great. In composite, not so much. I mean, yes, that's small, but that's actually saving you some eyesight there. Okay, so Stardust Commander, again, in my mind, is a great way to navigate hard drives if you want to use a pseudo-graphical, I mean, it's textual, so, you know, don't get on me for, it's not graphical, it's textual. I get it's graphical, I understand that. But my point is that it's easier to emulate. So I just want to show you that. That's a really nice way to do that. What I was going to show you, though, was the multiple disk. I'm going to go into the loader. Okay, and so how do you tell the drive or the computer that you've swapped disks, or even that's multiple disks? You create a map file that tells the computer where the how many disks there are and stuff like that. So this is a 2-disk. I'm going to start it. Okay, now it says, well, where's my next disk? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this button. I know it doesn't look like a button, but it's a button now. So I'm going to press it and then hit return. And there's a button that I've placed in there that tells the computer, hey, you swapped disks, go for it. Alright, welcome back. That was the battery dying. So you saw the ATR switch, and then what I want to demonstrate now is the SIO. So some of you may be asking, you know, why do I set the hard drive to boot at D5? And the reason is fairly simple, is that I think that D1 through 4 are going to be floppy drives. They are generally floppy drives. That's the default limit on the physical switches on most Atari floppy drives. Yes, you can have up to 15 drives on an Atari, but usually 1 through 4 are floppies. And so that way D5 is going to be a default hard drive boot because you're not going to conflict with your standard physical floppies. So that being said, what I like to then demonstrate is that we've got just a SIO to SD here, and we're just going to do a directory. Okay, that's directory of D5. Now you may notice that it reads the drive when it gets a prompt, and that's because I have my auto exec back set up to create that prompt. It does a couple of things. It reads the drive. That way I always know if a drive is not working or not, because as soon as I go to start working with it, it will pull it for whatever directory it's set in. And my auto exec bat is nothing fancy, and this again comes from the manuals that I suggest you read, but there's no auto exec on E either, or A, sorry. Exec.bat. Okay, so see, I've got the prompt $L $P. I always call that string L string P, and then backslash and the greater than. And what that does is, this is the drive, this is the directory, and then this puts it afterwards, everything like that. I was also, if you remember, I was talking about how to set the day and the time. This sets it to the US version of the date. Right? Now, we know that A works because I just pulled it, but let's go back and we'll do directory of A. Okay, and base 33 works. Let's see if we can, let's see, x base 33.com. Now, it's not saying anything, but it's polling. You can see it because the access light is polling, but it's turned that sound off, which is intriguing, isn't it? But look, it's doing some nice sector reading. It's loading it all up into memory. It's getting there. Now, Base 33 is a PAL demo, so we're not going to get the greatest version of it, but we will see that it's loaded up what it needs to load and that the SIO is working. So normally we'd be seeing some graphics, but we get some nice, because it's PAL, we don't get those. So we get some nice music though. And it proves from an extended load that the SIO works. Okay? So we've got everything. It's all golden. The one thing I was going to show you that it would do would be to boot XE carts without a problem. And we need to turn SpartaDOS off because remember, SpartaDOS is a cartridge. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to take my compact flash out of here. Maybe put this right there. And compact flash, again, just goes right in there. And it's got a little guide, so if it doesn't go easily, don't force it. But then it slips right down in there. It is possible that you could attach an IDE drive because there is an IDE drive right there. But it's all good. All put back together and buttoned up. And there's also one thing. Oh, there's one little cool thing I want to show you. So you know that this is set up for a hard drive. And the thing is that even though there's an access light on the compact flash interface on the Incognito, it's all closed up so you don't get to see that, right? So what I want to do is I want to, well, let's turn SpartaDOS back on. Now, I don't know if you can see it. Keep watching. You can see the slight pulsing on this side. Yeah. That's the hard drive access light. This is a power light, this hard drive access. It was a choice between doing just one, in which case this would only light with the hard drive. I put both in just because it would be so unnatural to see that not lit. You could really limit it down with a high value resistor, but I think this worked out nicely. So I hope the customer is happy with this. It was one of the machines that got caught up in the COVID delays, and so I'm very happy to finally seeing it get back to its owner, and I hope that its owner enjoys it quite a bit. So thank you all, and I hope the customer enjoyed it, and I hope the rest of you enjoyed it, and if the rest of you didn't enjoy it, well, there's not much I can do for you. Until the next time, when the next time is a 2600 UAV install and a 7800 UAV install for one customer, and then it is an XEL build, and then it is the repair of a 130XE and an XEGS whose motherboards are trashed, and then it's another XLD IO mod system build, and then I'm going on vacation. Don't know where, because we're not allowed to go anywhere because we can't fix this thing, but Until next time, thanks a lot. Bye.